Hey, this is Dave. I am making my first video here, first DIY video. So not exactly sure how this works, so I'm gonna just say what I hear everyone else say at the beginning of these videos, and they point somewhere to like, subscribe, comment. So whatever that means, please feel free to go ahead and do it. I don't know if this will ever make it to YouTube, but I'm going to do my best to try to provide some valuable and helpful and useful information. So I'm going to be talking about the Numeric Short Shift kit for the Porsche 911 Carrera S. In particular, I'm going to be installing this in a 991.2 series Carrera S. This particular short shifter is available or does fit a couple of the other Porsche manual transmission models, but again, this will be specific to the 991.2S. I'm really excited about this. I love driving this vehicle. It's an amazing ride. It's got an amazing manual transmission. But one thing about it that a lot of people have commented on, and I tend to agree, is that the transmission's a little bit soft. I won't go so far as saying mushy, but some people might actually call it luxurious. I'll say that I was expecting a little bit more of a mechanical feeling in the shifting when I first drove this vehicle. Particularly because, you know, you think of Porsche as being like a race-inspired vehicle, a race car-inspired vehicle, and it very much is that. But the shifter is kind of seems more of like a luxury, supple, soft shifter. And so I'm really excited about doing this modification to it, just to improve that whole driver-vehicle interface experience. And I'm also not very interested in doing some heavy modifications that would potentially alter the warranty. And I will say that I have no idea if this would in fact alter or void the warranty. I don't expect that it would, given that it doesn't seem to have any kind of effect on the mechanics of the transmission. This is more the interface between the driver and the transmission itself. So with that, I'm going to just kind of unbox it here for you, show you some of the tools that I'm going to be using. I'm not going to go into a in-depth video on how to install it, because there already exists that content on the Numeric Racing website, as well as a couple of other YouTube videos. But really the videos that have been published by Numeric Racing, they've got a couple of these videos, are very in-depth, very thorough, and quite honestly, I couldn't do a better job, so I'm not gonna waste your time with that. I will share with you my own experience in terms of the installation of it, and kind of show you some highlights, and hopefully be able to pass along some tips to the novice DIYer. And I hope that this video turns out to be useful or helpful to somebody that's considering to make this purchase. And I guess we'll see how it turns out, and what kind of comments I have about it. The one thing I want to mention, or one of probably many things, is that I'm only installing the shifter, not the cables. You know, a lot of the people that have both the shifter and the cables highly recommend the cables. And I've chosen just to go the shifter route because I think that's probably something that's fairly easy to do, and will provide a significant enough benefit and difference in the driving experience. If at some point at a later time I decide to do the cables, I'll follow up with a video on that. So here are our tools. Now, if you go by the video on the Numeric website, there's a nice 16.5-minute long video that shows one of the guys over at Numeric installing this into a 991. you'll see that he only uses one tool for the entire installation, and that is the a T25 Torx screwdriver. I would say I would go a little further and add to that a panel tool. I put a little bit of electrical tape on the ends just to kind of protect the surfaces that I'm going to be using, or that I'm going to be prying. I'll also add to that a ratchet, 1/4 inch drive ratchet with a T25 bit for those that I might need, those screws that I might need a little extra help with, and just little extra tools that I like to use for certain projects. I have a little magnet grabber thing here because I have a tendency of dropping screws, and I've dropped some screws that I cannot get to before, so hopefully I won't need that, but I'll have that available. I'll have this little magnetic tray for putting all the screws in, so once again I don't lose them. And I also have this Loctite. I haven't decided if I'm going to use it yet, but if I use it on any of the screws, it's going to be on the screws that hold the shifter down to the body, and only those 4 screws. On to the unboxing video, and but before I go into that, I also want to mention that this fabric, this is just a scrap piece of felt fabric I'm going to use also during the installation. I'll use this during the part where I'll be pulling out the radio and kind of letting it rest on the side of the center console, and I'll just use this to protect the center console. But this is the box that the short shifter came in, small box. Admittedly, I already unboxed it and then realized I wanted to make an unboxing video, so I kind of just threw it all back in, and I'm just going to take it out. But basically, what you get is you get the short shifter, comes nicely bubble wrapped. There's 2 parts. This is the shift rod, comes in this little package, and then in here we have the actual short shifter. And when you take it out of the box, you can immediately see the precision machinery that goes into making this. It's quite substantial, and you can feel by the weight that this is something that is just a very quality produced, manufactured item that is going to last. And that's the shifter, and I may do like a side-by-side comparison when I pull out the factory one. And then this is the rod, and this rod is threaded because you can adjust the height of the rod in the shifter, kind of giving you, a wide variety, a range of shift heights. And knowing that the higher the shifter knob is, the more leverage you'll have and the easier it'll be to shift gears. Whereas the lower you put the shifter in, the more difficult it'll be to shift. So you have that flexibility. And that's all that comes in the box, really. There's a business card for Numeric Racing, and as well as my receipt. So without any further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next part of this video. So this is what we're working with here. This is the stock shifter. You can see what the height looks like. With the new short shifter, you can actually lower the height, or you can keep it close to, I believe, the same height as the original shifter. In any event, when you lower the shifter, that's what makes it a little harder to shift because you have less leverage. Some people like that, and I have yet to figure out if that's going to be something that works for me. But you can see more or less there's a pretty good amount of tension there. They talk about in some of the videos that the stock shifter doesn't really have like a lot of spring back, but it does. Where I expect that we're going to see and hear the most difference is in the shifting of gears. And what you hear, that's the cables beneath the car pulling on the transmission to change gears. So that's the sound of the cables that you're hearing under the car. Anyways, I'm going to lay out some towels to protect the seats, and I'm going to begin to work on this. I may do it in time lapse, so that way it goes by a lot quicker, as I don't think this is going to take me only 16 minutes as it does in the numeric video. It's probably going to take me quite a bit longer. All right, so now we finally got this out. It was a little bit more work than I thought because I'm a little paranoid about pulling stuff and breaking clips. But here is the original factory shifter, plastic body. Remember that the black goes on the right and the white goes on the left. This is the front. These two little tie straps were what was holding the some of the cables in place. The numeric shifter does not come with a little place to secure the cables, so just be aware of that. The next step is to pop these things out, and supposedly, I haven't done this yet, so there we go. One pops out, and let's see if the other one pops out. Yep, there goes the other one. And I'll go ahead and put these, I mean, this is, you know, night and day difference. You have like a plastic housing body. There's nothing really metal or smooth and mechanical about this. It's all plastic connections except for a couple of little metal parts there. You know, you can see that this has that kind of buttery feel. This all metal, I mean, just a real precise piece of equipment for the car. So I'm going to go ahead and try now to pop these things on. Oh, that one went on easy. And that went on easy. So we're going to go ahead and put this now into the vehicle. And I'm going to try to get the time lapse set up again so you can see what that is like. But so far going so well, just taking a little bit longer to take things apart than I expected. So after about an hour and a half or so, I finally got it all put back together. It wasn't really too much more difficult than the videos showed in the on the Numeric website. I did end up using a few extra tools. Not necessarily all were needed, but they assisted me. Number one is I had the iPad here with the video, and I was going back and forth just watching the steps. That it was helpful to have that video readily available. I used this just to help pull a couple of the wiring plugs out, the wiring harnesses. Flashlight came in very handy. The trim tools turned out to be a little harder to take out
sunroof control panel than I thought. I had to end up taking the what do you call it? The black electrical tape off the ends of these because I really needed to get in there to help lift up these pieces. So I tend to be a little bit more careful than I see other people online pulling trim pieces and panels because I'm very paranoid about scratching anything. So I ended up using this for two things. Number one, to get the shift boot off, the other thing was to tighten down the nut that is used to adjust the height of the shifting knob. So without having driven the car, it definitely feels different. I'm going to have to get behind the wheel of the car to really know how much it is improved. I definitely feel the more mechanical nature. Seventh gears and reverse are definitely a little tougher to get into, but I was aware of that prior, that was going to be the case, and that can certainly be adjusted by raising the shifter up a little bit. I did lower it a little bit from the stock height, so that way I would have the benefit of that short shift throw pattern. So I'm going to take the car out for a little drive and see how it goes. But all in all, the installation was a success. Not too much more complicated than I thought. Oh, also, I wasn't able to pull the radio out all the way to hang it along the side the way they show it in the Numeric video. I'm not sure if it was just because some of the cables behind the radio were tied to some other part of the dashboard behind the radio, but I still managed to be able to manipulate and move the components out of the way that I needed to. So anyways, that was it. It took me about an hour to an hour and a half, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. So here I go for first impressions, pulling out of the driveway, and already having to use the reverse feature to close the garage because the range on this thing is not very good. Let's see. There we go. So, driving away, first gear, second gear. Definitely has that more mechanical feel that you hear people talk about, and I definitely like it. Let me get out of the neighborhood and I'll be able to get into some additional gears. I'm already in fourth gear. I'm going pretty slow, but I just wanted to see what it felt like getting into the different gears. All right, there's first. Definitely you feel that kind of click. And
user mark
second.
Ahead.
Oh, that's my radar detector talking. Let me turn that off. So, all right. Here in second gear. So far, I like the way it feels. It definitely feels different. It feels more mechanical. I'm going to be curious to see what seventh gear feels like, because when I was in the car parked without the engine running, it seemed pretty tough to get into seventh gear. So I'm not going to be there just yet, but first and second gear feel great. I mean, it definitely feels like a more gated shifter. You feel the more precise location of the gear placement. I'm in 5th right now, even though I'm not going too fast. 6, and let's see what happens with 7. Yeah, it goes in. It's definitely a little bit more effort to get into 7th gear than before, but not much more. I might be overthinking it a little bit, but shifting gears definitely feels a lot more precise, a lot more intentional, and I think it definitely improves the driving experience from a visceral perspective. But I'm going to go ahead and shut down here for a second, and then I'm going to try to do a little bit more higher performance shifting and see if I can provide any additional comments. Okay, a little more driving here. 7th gear does not feel all that different from before, so I think that was just in my head. I'm gonna try to do a little bit of a acceleration here and see where this goes. But so far, I've run through all the gears. Here we go. Hopefully the phone doesn't fall off the dash that I'm recording with here. Oh, I hit a light. All right, well, hoping that I can punch it here in just a second. But so far, I mean, it feels great. You know, I can't quantify the improvement, but I would definitely say that there is a significant improvement in the way the shifting feels. It definitely feels more mechanical, more precise, more bolt action, as you've probably read or heard people talking about with regards to this shifter. It's an improvement. It's definitely, I would say it's borderline a performance modification, in the sense that it doesn't alter the performance of the vehicle, but if it helps improve the manner in which you're shifting, then it may in fact, you know, help in some way, you know, improve the driving, the performance of your driving. Maybe not the performance of the vehicle, but anyways, here we go. I'm gonna hope that the phone doesn't fall off. Let's see what happens here. Alright, so that there was pretty nice. I only made it to 5th gear. Now I'm in 7th. It feels great. I can't say anything more about it. I'm going to post a link to the Numeric installation video that I use to help me install this, and if I think of anything else that I should put in the description of the video, I'll be sure to do that. I'm not exactly sure how to do this since I've never actually posted a video to YouTube, but anyways, hopefully I'll get this up soon for people to see. And I would say if you're considering making this modification to your vehicle, that it's definitely a worthwhile modification. Alrighty, that's it. Thanks, and hope this was helpful to some of you guys out there. Take care. Okay, so after a short drive, I'm beginning to notice kind of like a gritty sound, like a gritty squeaking sound. Almost sounds like the spring needs to be oiled or something. I'm going to let you hear it. So when you push to the right, you don't hear it, but when you push to the left, you hear it there. Wondering if I'm going to have to take this, at the very minimum, the shift boot off and maybe oil a spring or something. Okay, so here's a little update. So that noise that we were hearing when moving the shifter to the left from the center position, it sounded like a gritty, squeaking spring
rubbing sound. Turns out it wasn't actually coming from the shifter itself. That was coming from those one of those connector sleeves that the cable attaches to, which in turn attaches to the shifter. Well, the spring on the connector sleeve on the left was rubbing against the part of the vehicle beneath the shifter. It was rubbing against the aluminum casting part of the vehicle. So the solution to the problem, in my case, was to take a couple of very thin washers and place them beneath the back two screws on the shifter. So when you install the shifter, there are 4 torque screws that secure it to the frame of the vehicle. There's 2 in the front, 2 in the back. I put 2 little thin washers beneath the back 2 screws, which basically raised the back side of the shifter up just a hair. And that was enough to increase the clearance of that spring that was rubbing against the vehicle and get rid of the noise. Unfortunately, what got us to that solution was a little bit of a process, which I have skipped for the purpose of making this video as concise as possible. And that is, I did send the original shifter back. Numeric sent me over a brand new shifter. I went ahead and reinstalled it. It took only about 20 minutes a second go around, and discovered that noise was still there. And after talking to Dan over at Numeric, we came to that solution with the washers on the back 2 screws. They did tell me that this is not a problem that they've seen with any other installations. So very likely it's not a problem so much with the shifters, but maybe in my vehicle, maybe there was just a problem with one of the connector sleeves. In particular, the one on the left, which I believe is for the reverse cable. But anyways, I'm not exactly sure of that, so don't hold me to that. But so nonetheless, the problem is fixed. And now I've had this in my vehicle for close to a week. I've probably put about 100 miles on it using this, and mostly city driving. So I've had the chance to shift a lot. And I will tell you that the improvements are even more significant than they were initially after installing it. And the reason is because on the second go around of the installation, I actually lowered the shifter knob a little bit, and that's a real simple adjustment. I probably only lowered it a few millimeters, but it made a tremendous difference in how the shifting feels. And just to give you an idea, just think of, using a wrench, and the longer the handle of a wrench, the easier it is to turn. And so just like that with leverage, the shifter works the same way. When you have a longer shifter lever, the leverage that you need, the force that is needed to move it is less. Whereas, and also because it's longer, there is a little bit more play. When you shorten the lever length on the shifter, it takes a little bit more force, and the movement is actually a little bit more precise. There's less play. So by going shorter on the shift lever length, you're actually making it even more precise and giving it that more mechanical feel when you are shifting between gears. It is a little harder to pull, but again, it is also a little bit more precise and mechanical. So for me, that was something that I found that I liked more, and I'm glad I was able to do that and see the difference. And I would say that, depending on your comfort with pushing and pulling on the shift lever, if you want something that's more tighter, then you'll want it shorter. If you want it more closer to stock, but yet still having that improved feel and interface experience between you and the vehicle, the longer length lever will serve you well as well. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I love this change and this improvement in the vehicle. It certainly has improved the driving experience. I'm enjoying it more now, and I hope that this video was able to help you in making a decision whether this modification will be something that you would like to do as well. So thank you very much for your time. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe, comment. I'll be happy to answer any questions for you. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.